Hey family, this is SP News Nuggets, and I've got a story to share with you. This happened a couple of days ago down there in Florida. You guys, a guy by the name of Bryan Medeiros, he tried to, I guess he said he's standing his ground, but he shot and killed a 19-year-old boy. His name was Devyne Pritchett. You guys, they're going to share the story in a press release. We've got it right here. I want to share with you guys because I give the thumbs up down there in Florida. So here we go. Nora's Closet has a new name and a new website, you guys. It's called Nora's Authentic Designer Handbags. And this is the grand opening. And it's open to the public. And we're going to take a look at it before anybody else do. Nora has the Jimmy Choo collection. Handbags and shoes to match. Expensive but worth the price. Gas handbag and Louis Vuitton. Guys, she's the queen of handbags. Don't be fooled. And sexy is still in. High heels, sandals, flats, and pumps. Michael Kors, Chanel, every name brand you can think of. Go over to Nora's Authentic Designer Handbags and more and use your W4C and get your discount. Nora's link is down below.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to brief you about a shooting that occurred this morning at the landing at Four Corners, which is on Highway 192, just off of Highway 27 in the edge of Polk County. And here's what occurred. I'm going to give you a summation of the information that we have up to this point. And of course, all of this is subject to change as the investigation goes on. But we have our victim, Devyne Pritchett. He's a black male. He's 19 years of age. He was staying down the road with some friends in the Best Western, and there were about 5 or 6 of them all together. We learned at about 4 a.m. this morning from his friends that he dropped some acid, and that's their terminology. They used acid, and he just freaked out and left. He was wearing a pair of shorts, no shirt, and only had socks on. So he ends up in this apartment complex. And he's in the breezeway of an apartment complex when just prior to 6 a.m. this morning, there's a man walking his dog. As he walks past, he hears a guy going, pow, pow, pow. And he looks, and there's this 19-year-old who is about 5'5" and 125 pounds, according to the information on his driver's license, as if he's got a gun and he's making this noise, pow, 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 but he doesn't have a gun. So he speeds up. He walks faster. The guy comes out of the stairwell and grabs him on the shoulder. He turns around and shoves him down. And then he runs and goes up to his third floor. He has a roommate up there, and he tells him, hey, this guy just attacked me down here. And his roommate and he come out, and they start looking for him. And our witness one, as we're calling him, who has the dog, is dialing 911 to say there's a guy out here that's acting really crazy, really bizarre. And as they're looking for him, there is another couple that came out of their apartment on the second floor, and as they said, they went down to smoke. And they learned of this event that took place. So at that time, who is now our suspects, Bryan Medeiros, Medeiros, a white male who's 25, goes down to his car and gets his handgun, a Taurus, and he puts it in his waistband and covers it with his shirt. They finish smoking. He goes back up to the second floor, which is where their apartment is, and he tells his girlfriend or fiance to go inside. He hears noise on the third floor, and he goes up to the third floor, and as he's on the landing, there's the landing on each side of the apartment complex, he sees the guy laying, our victim, Devyne, laying flat on his back on the other landing. And someone's trying to talk to him. And it turns out that it is not the person with the dog, but his roommate. So the guy gets up and he goes on up to the third floor, our victim, Devyne. Our shooter goes up, sees him there. The victim turns around and starts down the other stairwell. Well, our shooter comes down his stairwell, and then we see where our victim, Devyne, is walking directly toward our shooter. And even though he told his girlfriend to go inside, she's standing at the door, but now they see he's got his pants down. So if you can imagine this, our victim has his pants down to mid-thighs. It's clearly indicated he doesn't have a firearm. And he's walking directly toward our shooter, Bryan Medeiros. Bryan Medeiros then does something that's interesting. He pulls his gun and he shoots him. And when he shoots him, he says it has no effect, and the guy's really close to him, so he said, I'll walk around him and I start past him. And he turns around to follow me, and I turn around and shoot him some more. And he's caught up with me, and then I walk past him again, and as I'm going down the staircase to the first floor, he follows me and he tumbles down behind me, and that's where he dies. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done an exhaustive investigation all day, and the investigation's not over. We have this law in Florida called Stand Your Ground. So the issue is, was Bryan Medeiros standing his ground? At this initial point in the investigation, it clearly appears to us that Bryan used too much force. The law talks about protecting yourself from yourself or others from imminent death, serious bodily harm. The guy's 5'5". He's 125 pounds. He's bizarre and out of his mind and rambling. He's laying on his back part of the time, talking incoherently. But is he a danger? And to what level is he a danger? Well, the fear is in the mind of the shooter. The second issue we have problems with, in addition to using too much force based upon being able to see everything, he doesn't have a weapon. He doesn't have a knife. He doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have a stick. He's acting bizarre. He doesn't have a right to be there. But then, instead of going into his apartment, he's not standing his ground. He follows and goes up to the third floor, where he hears sounds. So he engages the guy when they both come back down the stairwell to the second floor. But had he simply gone into his residence, there would not have been a problem. So there was a lot of discussion about the stand your ground issue. At this point in the investigation, we can't articulate that he was in valid fear based upon the initial information we see. It's clear he didn't have a gun. It's clear he was out of his mind. It's clear that the shooter, had he initially came in contact with this guy, might have been able to articulate that more clearly. But at this point in the investigation, he walks past his residence and up the flight of stairs, or halfway up, he goes up to the landing where he can see onto the third floor, only to see our person on the third floor. And the person on the third floor, it's not like he's up there protecting someone else, because there is no conflict or fight or confrontation of violence at that moment in time. So he's being arrested. He's going to jail tonight. I've said over and over and over, and I've said it to the news media over the years. I've said it at civic club meetings. People who do not understand the stand your ground law will end up arrested because they misjudged what it means. And what it means is simply this: if you've got a right to be where you are, fear of that, then you're good to go. But he actually pursued the guy up a flight of stairs. So he wasn't standing his ground. He was following him up. It's a very difficult case for the state attorney's office, but certainly we believe there's significant probable cause that, given the discussion on when you stand your ground, and we're stating at this point in the investigation, he followed him up the stairs. He's not standing his ground. He's following him. He's looking for him to engage him. And number two, when the dude's got his pants down to his mid-thighs,